If that is not available, we'll just go ahead and do this prayer individually. Can we pray in our own individual ways, please? Honored and privileged to stand here today to do this, being an individual who is in the media and have been reporting on issues affecting children, persons aging, persons with disability, and most vulnerable individuals in our societies. It is important that we convene here today, seeing all the stakeholders from different institutions to be here to put our hats and heads together to change social protection narratives in the Gambia is a step in the right direction. So to start with, we will just introduce the Permanent Secretary of the Office of the Vice President to give us the opening remarks. A round of applause for her.
The Vice President, Your Excellency, the First Lady, Honorable Speaker of the National Assembly or his representative, Honorable Cabinet Ministers, the EU Ambassador and Head of Delegation, United Nations Resident Coordinator and Head of UN agencies, the World Bank Country Representative, colleague Permanent Secretaries and senior government officials, governors, mayors, international delegates, civil society and private representatives, representatives of the media and press officials here present, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, good morning. I am indeed pleased to be given the honor to give the welcome remarks. My office is undeniably humbled by the privilege of providing the leadership and guidance in the implementation of all social protection-related efforts in the country. In addition to my task to deliver the welcoming remarks, it is my pleasure to give a brief context of the social protection discourse in the country under the oversight of the Office of the Vice President. In February 2016, the government of the Gambia approved the National Social Protection Policy 2015-2025. The policy defines a comprehensive and cross-cutting social protection agenda and proposes a set of priority actions to guide the gradual establishment of an integrated and equitable social protection system in the Gambia. Your Excellency, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, this international conference will provide a platform for the state and non-state actors in the social protection discourse, including development partners, both nationally and internationally, civil society and beneficiary groups, to dialogue and exchange knowledge and experiences around the theme and other existing social protection policy matters. The conference will also serve as a platform where government can report progress made and challenges faced in the implementation of the National Social Protection Policy 2015-2025.
Honorable Minister of Finance and all other government representatives here present, from central government to local government, my colleagues from the United Nations agencies, NGOs, civil society representatives, private sector representatives, the media, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, all protocol duly observed. I would say good morning to all. I'm deeply honored to address this distinguished assembly at the Gambia International Social Protection Conference. It is a great pleasure to stand before you today, surrounded by leaders, experts, and champions of social protection from the Gambia and across the globe. I'm here and extend the United Nations country team's heartfelt gratitude to the government of the Gambia for organizing and hosting this very important forum. I wish to extend our special thanks to the Vice President of the Republic and the First Lady, who are really gracing this occasion, and it's a real commitment to social protection and the overall well-being of Gambian citizens, and it's really commendable for all the good work they are doing. Today, we gather not only as partners in development, but as advocates for the fundamental principle of leaving no one behind. Social protection, as we all know, is a vital instrument in our shared mission to ensure that every individual, regardless of their circumstances, have the opportunity to live a life of dignity and unending opportunities. As we gather here today, we are reminded of the enduring challenges that persist in our world, including poverty, vulnerabilities, and inequalities. These challenges know no borders and affect individuals in every corner of the globe. It is only through our collective commitment to social protection that we can address these issues effectively. The COVID-19 pandemic and the triple crisis of food, energy, and finance has been a major setback on progress toward the UN's Sustainable Development Goals. And for the first time since the adoption of the SDGs, there was a reversal of the trend of progress due to the impact of the shocks. And the UN and broader stakeholders recognize the pivotal role social protection can play as an accelerator of the achievement of many and even most of the SDG targets, from ending poverty and hunger to improving gender equality and access to health, education, and even tackling inequality and climate change. The Gambia, like many nations, faces its unique set of challenges in the pursuit of reducing poverty and vulnerabilities. The government's unwavering commitment to social protection, as demonstrated by the establishment of the National Social Protection Secretariat and the operationalization of a social protection policy, is indeed praiseworthy. These efforts underscore the Gambia's commitment to building a more inclusive and equitable society where every citizen can access quality education and essential social services. Your Excellencies, distinguished guests, the United Nations Sustainable Development Cooperation Framework, was known as the CF, represents the UN's and commitment toward government and people of the Gambia. It is worthy to mention that the recently signed CF was the result of extensive consultations across the country and outlines areas of cooperation with the government of the Gambia.
Yeah, Your Excellency, First Lady, Honorable Minister of Finance and Economic Affairs, United Nations Resident Coordinator, Permanent Secretary of the Office of the Vice President, National Coordinator of the Social Protection Secretariat, representatives of the civil society, distinguished guests, members of the press, colleagues, ladies and gentlemen, all protocol observed. Thank you for inviting you to deliver a statement today at this conference. As I mentioned, the Ambassador Pampaloni is out of country, and he asked me to replace him. My name is Enrica Pellacani, and I'm the head of cooperation at the EU delegation to the Gambia. First, I would like to start thanking the organizers for this important event, which is an opportunity to exchange and have dialogue on this very important subject. Coordination, dialogue, and partnership are the best way for aligning our work and for supporting the development of the country. Social protection is not only an ethical imperative, it is also a matter of social justice and is essential to achieve the Sustainable Development Goals. We can mention the SDG 1, no poverty, but many others are also touched when we deal with social protection. And the EU, I believe, is a major supporter of the country's efforts in advancing in social protection. Between 2020 and 2023, we have provided technical assistance to the National Social Protection Secretariat in the Office of the Vice President. And I believe this technical assistance has also been instrumental to advance in the design, and as well will also be helpful for the implementation of the programs in this area. But also we have been supporting other programs, and just to mention some, the Building Resilience Through Social Transfer, BREST, implemented by UNICEF. We provided more than 4 million for school meals program implemented by the World Food Program. We also supported FIUN World Food Program in help improving risk mitigation measures, including social safety nets. And I hope that also there is the due visibility to the work that the European Union and its citizens have done for this country. I mentioned that the Gambia is the European Union is one key partner as well for the Gambia. And since 2017, we have provided more than 500 million euro to this country, which is, by the way, considering the size of the country and the demographics, the largest contribution to an African country. Currently, we're working with the multi-annual indicative program that runs from 21 to 27. And among the 3 priorities, human development is one of them. So we have now, for the moment, allocated more than 110 million euro, and this is new funds will arrive after the midterm review.
Improvement in productive base capacities and protecting the aging population, women and children. This has driven the government of the Gambia's vision to national social protection policy, which defines a comprehensive and cross-cutting social protection agenda. The policy sets out in detail the government's vision and commitment to modernize the social protection system, as well as steps it will take to broaden coverage to those in need of support. This policy gave birth to the government's decision to establish the National Social Protection Secretariat under the Office of the Vice President to support the National Social Protection Steering Committee in providing leadership and coordination across the totality of social protection efforts in the Gambia. The National Social Protection Secretariat has provided direction and coordination in the fragmented social protection sector in the Gambia. It has revitalized the National Social Protection Committee into an active and authoritative body that is spearheading policy, decision-making on social protection issues.
The government of the Gambia established the National Social Protection Secretariat to serve as the implementing body for the National Social Protection Steering Committee, as well as support and assist government on the coordination of the sector by providing the leadership across the totality of the social protection sector. The National Social Protection Policy has priority for the extremely poor, individuals and households, vulnerable groups, children, the elderly, people living with disabilities, the chronically ill, people and families affected by HIV, vulnerable youth and women, refugees and migrants, and prison inmates and their families.
Several sectors have a role to play to ensure no one is left behind in social protection programs. Functional educational institutions and programs must be available and sufficient, and access must be given to everyone without discrimination. States have a role to provide free and compulsory primary education, adequate secondary education in different forms, and higher education on the basis of capacity, and to take concrete steps to ensure that these are free, fundamental education for those who have not satisfied their basic learning needs, and to seek an overall development strategy for its school system, which includes access to education and decent general working conditions of teachers. What social protection initiatives is the Gambia Ministry of Basic and Secondary Education undertaking?
as a social sector ministry, almost all our programs are geared towards social protection. And in this case, the schools classrooms we construct, the teaching and learning materials that we provide to our schools, the school meals that we provide to the needy children, the school improvement grants, the safe teaching and learning environment that we provide for the kids are all geared towards the holistic development of the child as a future leader. So basically, the mandate of the ministry is all about social protection.
Evidence shows that social protection can narrow gender gaps in poverty rates, enhance women's access to personal income, and provide a lifeline for poor women, especially single mothers. There is need to commit to close gender gaps by extending coverage and strengthening social protection floors, including as part of the 2015 Addis Ababa Declaration on Transforming Africa through Distant Work for Sustainable Development and the African Union's Agenda 2063.
For Minister of Gender and Social Welfare, they have been involved in social protection activities well before the establishment of this secretariat. We are trying to expand it. We call it now Family Strengthening Program. In this program, we intend to assist vulnerable children, orphans, also older persons, and also persons with disabilities. We want to help them through that program to at least improve their living standards. So all those are social protection interventions that the ministry is undertaking. And I work closely with the National Social Protection Secretariat since they are the coordinating body.
There is no one-size-fits-all approach for extending fiscal space for social protection. Studies by international labor organizations shows that social protection systems are huge redistributive mechanisms in most economies, often exceeding 20% of gross domestic product GDP. Transfers of this magnitude requires sound governance and management, in particular financial governance and economic management. Innovation is key to ensure sustainable financing of social protection programs.
Of course, the government have worked on the financing strategy for social protection, which has already been validated, but this will be subject to further review and also as part of other discussions during the conference with a view to ensuring that there is a predictable way of financing. The key is to have a predictable way of financing. And like you referenced one of the countries, which is the way to, in terms of sustainable financing for social protection, is to ensure that it is still with the government. Of course, this is also in line with the Addis Declaration on Development Finance, which is a domestic is also reality in a more sustainable way. So as a country, we are also looking at towards mainstreaming government social protection into government projects for a long-term predictable financing mechanism. Although the development partners are always welcome and they always want to support government initiatives, but this is the direction that government wants to take.
To enhance households' ability to produce food, social protection programs should contribute to higher household incomes and increase consumption. Eradicating world hunger sustainably by 2030 will require an estimated additional $267 billion per year on average for investments in rural and urban areas. And in social protection, so poor people have access to food and can provide their livelihoods. What are the available solutions for a tax-based economy like the Gambia?
The situation in the Gambia is not that easy for us, but I think the Gambia is a tax-based economy, and to sustain the financing, we cannot depend on donor support. So what we have to do is to look inwards and see how we can broaden our tax base and try to capture the leakages in the tax that is being collected. We know that what is being collected is far less than what is not being collected. And we try to, there is a big informal sector in the Gambia, which is a lot of the informal sector is not being captured when it comes to taxation, and we try to ensure that most of the informal sector is formalized, and we try to digitalize as much as possible so that all the taxes that are collected are through digital means, and that will ensure that the leakages that are happening and the physical contact person with money is reduced as much as possible, so that all the taxes that the government is collecting will go to sponsor some of our social protection projects. And that's the only way, I think, the most important way I think we can do this.
Social protection requires continuous partnership and consultation to put the right mechanisms in place. The National Social Protection Secretariat holds the International Social Protection Conference on the theme Accelerating Social Protection Financing to increase coverage and reach.
On the Rights and Welfare of the Child, 1990, which advanced social protection with human rights approach. In line with this domestic and international convergence, our social protection system consists of the following priority areas. 1. Safeguard the welfare of the poorest and most vulnerable populations. 2. Protect vulnerable populations from transitory shocks. 3. Promote livelihoods and income of the poorest and vulnerable economically active populations. 4. Reduce people's exposure to social risks and vulnerabilities, including discrimination and exclusion. And 5. Strengthen leadership, governance, and social protection system in order to design and deliver effective and efficient programs. The Recovery Focused National Development Plan, Pillar 5, Outcome 6.5, focus on resilience of households and individuals, strengthen and safety nets put in place to address vulnerabilities through social protection, reaffirms our commitment in the medium to long-term social protection. A social protection is multi-sectoral. As social protection is multi-sectoral, different key ministries continue to strive towards these objectives. These programs include, amongst others, the following. Cash transfer schemes are implemented by ministries, departments and agencies, NGOs and UN agencies, especially to respond to shocks. With our partnership with the World Bank, through the NAFA, we have implemented one of the most successful cash transfer schemes in the sub-region, impacting over 16,000 households. Your Excellency, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, education as part of human capital development has proven to be one of the most effective ways of breaking intergenerational poverty. In line with the Social Protection Policy Priority 1 of protecting the welfare of the poorest, government continues to prioritize access to education as well as improvements in education quality outcomes. The School Improvement Grant, the provision of teaching aids and equipment, scholarships, and school feeding program